Okay, welcome to our last lecture class, partial differentiation. So, sa'yo na ni siya if you know how to differentiate. So, from the word partial class, partial, dili tanan imong differentiate. So, partial differentiation is a process to determine the rate of change of a function f with respect to one of its several independent variables. Okay? So, the result of this process is referred to as the partial derivative. So, dili na katong d atong gamiton, no? Di ra gyapon sa class pero mura siya paana. This is to denote that you are partially differentiating the function f with respect to its one variable. Okay? Okay, let's have an example. Okay. So, ang notation na to ni class is f sub x, no? This denotes that you are getting the derivative of f, partial derivative of f, with respect to x. Okay? Pasabot ani is your function is both your function is both dependent on x and y. Okay? So for example, na kay z is equal to function of x, y. Okay? Um, gamit ni partial differentiation class, if you have an equation or a function that has several variables. Okay? So, kung magkuha tag f of x, dili f sub x, again, this is the partial derivative of your f with respect to x. All the other variables will remain or we will assume those variables as a constant. Okay? So, fy pod, f sub y, we are getting the partial derivative of f with respect to y. Ang exponent to kay constant. Okay? So, mas dali siya class. Kay all the other variables ay constant man. So, isa ra ka, focus sa isa ka variable. Okay, so ato notation ana will be something like this. This is partial derivative kani nga again kani nga notation na kaning naka d diri nga murag cursive. So that is partial derivative of z, which is ang z na tong function of x and y, no? Partial derivative of z with respect to x. Pwede sa daghang tag notation, no? It could be fx xy or z sub x, just to denote that partial derivative of your function with respect to x na siya. Kung y pod, pailisan na itong y ato subscript. Okay. So again ha, lahi ang dy over dx sa dy over dx. Lahi na siya. Okay. Sige, let's have an example. Medyo hugaw na siya din na kaya nag-annotate na ko, pero let's have this. Ako lang i-rewrite din class. Okay, so let's find the partial derivative now, f sub x and f sub y for the function. So again, ito lang i-denote dire nga if you're getting the partial derivative of f with respect to x, y is a constant. Kung partial derivative of f with respect to y, x is constant. Okay? So if you rewrite that, atong function, no, again, duha ni siya ka letter dire to indicate that it is both dependent on x and y. Okay, that is 3x minus x squared y squared plus 2x cubed y. Okay, so unahon na ito pangita daw class ang f sub x. Okay, so kung f sub x, mo na itong notation. Kana. So, we are getting the partial derivative of our f, no, kani siya, for whole function with respect to x. Okay, again, take notes ato ang notation there. Okay. Equals. Diri na din class. Isa-isa na din nato og differentiate kada term. Now, kung nag-differentiate ta with respect to x, now partially, all the other variables will be constant, di ba? So meaning, kini siya kay constant, kini siya kay constant. Okay? So, kaning 3x class may mo 3, no? Differentiating. Kining x squared, y squared class, mura na siya o nag-differentiate ta og 2x squared ba? Di ba? Ang 2 kay i-copy ra na to because that is a constant. Same is true here. Our y squared here will be constant. Since y is a constant, meaning y squared is also constant, correct? So, mo na gipakilid na to atong y squared. Kaya assume na to siya nga constant siya. Okay, and then x squared will become 2x. Dili na siya para sa implicit differentiation class nga. You will consider this as, you will use product rule. No, we are not implicitly differentiating, we are partially differentiating. So, the other variable is a constant. So, sa'yo na noon siya pag-differentiate, di ba? So, again, y squared, copy because that is constant, and then x squared will become 2x. Okay. Here, class, add 2, di ba? Constant man ang 2. Ang y po, constant man na to. Constant po siya. So, ato lang nang ikuyog ang duha 2y. And then x cubed will become 3x squared. This is your partial, this is the, kung ano dayon, kanang simplified na partial derivative of function with respect to x. Okay, how about if we get the partial derivative of the function with respect to y? Kaya notation nato is something like that. And then this is your function. Okay, so kung with respect to y po ta class, ang ato pong x here will be constant. Kaya ito lang na ikuan. Y is constant. Okay, sa x mo ta nag-differentiate. Kini, sa y na po ta nag-differentiate, x is constant. So kung x is constant class, this first term here will be constant. And the derivative of a constant is 0. Muna, 0 siya. Second term, x squared will be considered as constant. Okay, so copy lang. And then y squared will become 2y. Okay. And then here, ang atong x constant, so meaning ang atong 2x cubed may constant. Okay, derivative of y is 1. So nakay 1 dira, that's why 2x cubed na siya. Okay, so we'll have this expression. Now, take note ganyan class, this is very important paawat ninyo sa Fermat-Schnecken differential equation. Yeah, this is very useful in your partial differentiation. Okay, next. Let's get the partial derivatives f sub x, f sub y for the function below and evaluate each at the point 1, ln 2. Okay. So after getting the partial derivatives, ato na yung substitute ang ato ang value. Okay, we are given, wait lang ako class, that is x e to the x squared y. Okay. So karon, we get the partial derivative f sub x. So y is constant. Okay, so kini constant ni siya. Okay, kung constant na siya, di natin na i-mine later. Ang atong buhaton is, you have two functions of x, na kay x, o na kay e to the x squared y. Okay? So, kanina tayo magamit ta og product rule. Okay. So, copy x, differentiate e to the x squared y. If you differentiate e to the x squared y, remember, differential sa imong e to the u is copy, and then get the derivative ani. Okay? The derivative of x squared y is 2xy lang naman. Kay constant man imong y. Okay, and then x squared will be 2x. Plus, copy ni. Okay, copy na to ni. And then, differentiate x, that is 1. Okay, so nanata expression karon class sa ato ang f sub x, no? Partial derivative of function with respect to x. So, ato na dayong i-substitute yung mga values. So, x will be 1, y will be ln 2. So, tanang x, pulihan na to 1, kana. And then y will be ln2. So ln2 ni ln2, ln2. Okay? And so you will have this final expression. Y, okay, kini siya class, take note. I don't know if you remember this. If you are given this expression, e to the ln2, that is just equivalent to unsay naka-ln dira. So e to the ln x is equal to x, e to the ln y is equal to y. So kani siya, this is simply equal to 2. Diyan siya nga value. Okay, so kung inyo na i-calculate, ang magawas na is kanang unsay tapad sa ln. As long as e na siya, ha? E na siya. Okay, so the answer will be 4 ln 2 plus 2. How about the partial derivative of function with respect to y? So ang atong x will be constant. Okay, so kung constant ang atong x class, what will happen is, ato na siyang i-rewrite. No, i-rewrite na to siya. And then, we will get the derivative ani. Derivative ani will be copy, and then derivative of this with respect to y, this will be x squared ra. Okay, constant man ang ato ang x. Okay. So, substitute the value 1 ln 2. So that would be 1, 1, 1, 1 na siya dira. And then y will be ln 2. So again, this will be 2 ra na siya. So the answer is 2. Okay, so let's have this one. Okay. Find the slopes in the x direction and in the y direction of the surface given by the function below at point 1/2, 1, and 2. So, naka 3D ta diri class, no? So, itong buhaton, ang slope denotes to your, ningon mo siya of slopes in the x direction and in the y direction. We are actually getting the partial derivative of this, no, with respect to x and kini with respect to y. Unsa yung partial derivative at x and y direction. Okay. So, itong buhaton is kanina natay surface dira. Okay. We're given this function. So now, ato sa hinahina yun. Kuha na to ang partial derivative of the function with respect to x, meaning constant ang atong y. Okay, so it will happen here that this is become negative 1/2 2x. Okay, and then this one, since this is constant, may mo 0 ang derivative. Kini constant po ni 0 ang derivative. So we are left with negative x. Okay. So negative x, mo na din ato ang partial derivative. Ato din yung kwaon class. Substitute na to ang values aning x, y, z diri. So since x naman na to variable, then it doesn't matter ang value. So 1 o 2. So naarata sa 1/2. So the answer would be negative 1/2. Okay, the partial derivative with respect to y po class will be assume that x is constant. So kung x constant, meaning this whole term will be constant, 0 ang iyang derivative. Negative y squared will become negative 2y, and then this will become 0 gihapon. So, substitute the values here, x, y, z niya. Since y raman na to dira, unsa man atong y diri 1. So, 1, that is negative 2 na atong answer. Okay. So, kuan diri, if you want to zoom it out, zoom it in there. Para makita ninyo, naka-annotate lang ko ani. Pero, the values of the slope in x direction is here and the y direction is here. Okay, moving on. Sige. So, example ani class is, what if more than pagyud ang imong more than 2 pagyud mong variables? No need to worry upon class kay, again, if we get the partial derivative of the function with respect to one variable, then the other variables will become constant lang yun. Okay, so example, kani, you have a function that is dependent on x, y, and z. Okay, meaning na kay x, na kay y, na sa case z. So we want to get this partial derivative of this function with respect to z. So kung with respect to z, meaning x and y must be constant. So kung x and y must be constant, what will happen here? X, y, constant. So it will become 0. Na siya 0 dira. Plus, what will happen to y, z squared? Ang y na to is a constant. So ang z squared will become 2z. So napa kay y dira. So 2 times y times z. Okay? And then x, ang last na itong term is xz. So constant imong x. So we get the derivative of this. It will become x na lang. Okay, so na kay mga different examples here para dili mo libog. Okay. So study lang. Okay, so for higher order partial derivatives, send na siya class kay moagi lagi po first derivative. Aya ka mo second, aya ka mo third. So wala problema no kay ang notation naman ang ato ang difference ani kay if we differentiate, for example, differentiate f with respect to x now partially. So, ang atong notation na kay f sub x. If you want to get the second derivative niya with respect to x gihapon, ato na ning dugan nga x, may mo na siyang x dira. However, kung kanin siya class, ang first derivative nimo kay ato na pud siyang i-differentiate with respect to y partially. Diri butangan nimo y dira. Okay? So, there are four. Kung magkuha tag second derivative, this is what you call the mixed partial derivatives no ang imuhang third or fourth kikini siya with respect to x tanan no until the second derivative. That's why you have f sub double x kini f sub double y kini f sub xy f sub yx. Okay, so ang pasabot lang ani is you differentiate kini siya, you differentiate first with respect to x, and then secondly you differentiate with respect to x. Kini differentiate with respect to y partially ni tanan ha, and then with respect to y na po sa second. Kini you differentiate with respect to x and then with respect to y. Kini with respect to y first and with respect to x na po. Okay? So, makita ninyo class sa iyahang notation, sa iyang subscript kung unsay pasabot sa iyahang, yun sa siya pag-differentiate. Okay, and also that's very important no if you are tasked to get the second partial derivatives of your function. So, dapat kabulok ka, unsay notation nimo dapat. Okay, example, find the second partial derivatives of your function kani. So, when you say second partial derivatives, ang nasa inyong mind ani daghan man no upat dapat imuhang makuha. First is kini fxx, fyy, fxy og fyx. Okay, so these are the different second partial derivatives of the function. Okay, ato sa ta sa first derivative. Okay, first derivative nato no partial derivative with respect to x lang sa ta. Okay, so with respect to x, y will be constant. So constant atong y, constant ning y. Okay, what will happen to x cubed? 3x squared. Since constant man ang y cube, pakilidan na nato, what will happen to x squared? May mong 2x. And then this one, the third will be 0 lang iyahang derivative kay constant man ang y, meaning this whole term will be constant. O kay x dira. So that will be 0. So we have f sub x na 3x squared plus 2xy cubed. Okay, that's the first derivative. The second derivative will be kung of course kung gikan ka sa x no, na kay pwede ka fxx kani, pwede sad ka fxy. Okay, so duha. So from here, imo na po ni i-differentiate with respect to x, mo na kay double subscript dira. So this will be 6x, okay? And this one will be 2y cubed na lang. Okay, kay x naman yung nabilin din niya. Kini kay constant man atong y. So 2y cubed. So this is now our f sub xx. Okay, how about fxy? So kaning fxy, dili ka na, diri sa fx. Okay, so kini na po atong i-differentiate with respect to y. So kung with respect to y, constant ang atong x. Okay, so kung constant atong x, this whole term will be constant. So differentiating the constant, this will be 0. And then here, constant man atong x, ipakilidan na atong 2x. Ana, and then y cube will be 3y squared. So fxy will be 6xy squared. Okay, niagi ng taan nito na no? Manata sa fx, fxx, fxy. Muna niya ito gipangita yun ang second partial derivatives. Now, ito sa f sub y. So, f sub y, constant ato ang x. Okay? Sa kini nga function, constant atong x. So, x will be the derivative of this first term will be 0 kay constant maning whole term ni mo, no? So, 0. Here, x squared, constant, atong i-copy. What will happen to y cubed? That will be 3y squared. Okay. Minus, wala man tayo x dira, so that is negative 4y. And then, muna niya ito ang simplified nga answer, fy. Okay, the second partial derivatives na itong makuha from this class will be fyy and fyx. Okay, so from here, ato siya i-differentiate na partially with respect to y. So kung with respect to y, again, x will be constant. X constant, atong i-copy ang 3x squared. So 3x squared, what will happen to y squared? May mong 2y. Okay. Minus 4y, may mong minus 4. Okay, and then you will have 6x squared, y is equal to 4, minus 4. And then, again, kanina pod ang ato ang i-differentiate partially with respect to x na pod mo nang nakay fyx. Okay, so fyx, ang ato ang y will be constant. So kung constant, copy natin yung 3 of y squared here. What will happen to x squared? It will become 2x. Minus, this whole term will be constant, so may mo 0. So, you will have 6x y squared. Now, what have you noticed, class, sa itong fxy of fyx? They are equal. Okay? They are equal. So, maski dun sa panang function dira, class, you will get an equal expression for fxy and for fyx. And kaning gitawag kani atong gitawag na mixed partial derivatives, and they are equal. Okay, so again, kung papangitaon di ka ani mixed partial derivative class, maskin asa ka mo agi pwede sa fx, okay, padong dira, pwede sa dire, padong dira, and because they are equal, then either way you will get the same answer. Okay. And muna akong gawin kanina, the Clairaut's theorem, that your function fxy and fyx are equal. Okay. However, kanin siyang duha class, di na equal ha, kaning fxx ug fyy, di na siya equal. Pero kaning duha, yes, they are equal. fxy ug fyx. Okay, so here are some practice problems. You can solve them and then you check sa internet, online, if tama ba yung nakuha. Okay? And who knows, na ako'y po ani nga mga numbers diri sa exam. Okay, so that would be the end of the lecture, partial differentiation, and actually also the end of Calculus 1. So I hope you study well for the exam. And yeah, see you on the final exam.